question. I think this is a question from Dara. Okay, Dara has a question that could you please explain the differences between qualitative and quantitative approach, um, and how do we know when to use these two approaches? Okay, I think Dara, this question it take quite a long time in order to answer this question, right? What are the differences? But I try to give you a short answer to this. If, for example, if you, for example, mainly, um, if you talk about quantitative, all right, quantitative, everything is predetermined. All right, everything is predetermined. Everything, it is important that things that you use in the quantitative needs to be, um, you know, let's put it this way. Um, if you use quantitative, it's, you know, it the I would say that the researcher tend to look at tend to view the world as, or tend to look at the reality as the single, you know, I would say that there is only one reality about the issue that you really want to study. But for qualitative, you know, that is the idea, the philosophies of the qualitative is a multiple realities about the issue that you are studying. Okay, so everything, and in qualitative, for qualitative study, what makes it different? Let's make it simple. The data that you get, okay, the data that you get for qualitative and quantitative. For qualitative, the data will comes in the form of words, all right, and quantitative, the data will comes in the forms of numbers, because in order to analyze the in order to study this, I mean, in quantitative, you need to use numerical, I mean, we need to use numbers, all right? If it is qualitative data, the data needs to be converted into numbers in order that we can use SPSS for the data analysis. Well, for and then the findings of the study will comes in the forms of a chart or graph or table and something like that. For qualitative, all right, for qualitative, the data comes in the forms of words, and the data comes in the forms of pictures, and when it comes to the analysis, people use another method like semantic analysis, like discourse analysis, content analysis, and then what you use in order to support your explanation is the quote from your research participant, and that is the evidence to prove what you have said, right? What you explain, you know, in the finding. So that is qualitative. And what is important here, let me just give you a very simple example of a qualitative. In what makes it different is that quantitative is more objective. Okay, so it is not based on ideas. You know, I would say that it's not opinion based. It is objective. All right, and that is why we use, most of the time we use closed-ended questions, or we use questionnaire with a list of questions to measure, you know, some concept that we want to study, the issue to examine the issue that we want to study. But for qualitative, all right, for qualitative, it is subjective. Subjective because, and the more subjective it is, the better, because we want to get as many ideas as possible from different perspective. For qualitative, I will just give you one as an example. There is an elephant, okay? Let's say there is an elephant, okay? So there are 5 blind men touching the elephant, all right? So if you ask one person, Okay, the person will say that, okay, what do you think about the elephant? What do you think that the elephant looks like? And the person may say, okay, the elephant looks like a snake, because that person is touching the elephant, the tail of the elephant, right? If you touch the ear of the elephant, the other person, and you ask the other person, the person say, okay, they touch the ears of the elephant. It's like the person say, oh, elephant is like it's like a fan, for example. So the idea is that people may have different ideas because different people just view the issue from different perspective. So the whole ideas of using qualitative is to gather as many ideas as possible from different perspective in order to understand that issue. Okay. Okay, but in quantitative, you need to review literature and to come up with, okay, if I want to study about this issue, I need to look at this, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay. For example, let me give you another example of the different, and then we'll move to the second question. You will say that, okay, I want to know about beauty. I want to know whether what people think about beauty, about the state of being beautiful. So I ask, okay, so in order to know about that, I will I will look at some of the indicator. For quantitative, they will look at, okay, if I want to study something about beauty, and we'll have to look at, okay, I review some literature, I will see that, okay, the height, I will look at the complexion, I will just look at the weight, I will just look at, this and this, okay, blah blah blah. Okay, and then you try to find the data in order to and then you will develop a questionnaire in order to know all of this. For qualitative, you will go to the field and you ask the people. Okay, you ask people and people will answer the question, and then you will come up with the idea. Okay, if you ask one person may say, well, I think a person is beautiful, but a person has this, has that, blah blah blah, but a person has brown eyes, long hair, and something. And then when you go to ask another person, the person may say, as long as the person is quite gentle, is kind, I think that the person is beautiful to me. Then you will see the idea that, okay, from different perspective, from qualitative point of view, you could see that, okay, the beauty could be viewed from different people, and then you come up with the idea that, okay, beauty, it's something to do with the physical appearance, and something to do with the personalities of a person, the individual, the personality. So something like that. So the question is, how do we know when we want to use these two approaches? Well, I would say that you can know based on your research question. All right, if your research question is mainly to do with how, all right, you really want to know about the process. All right, and I think that this is more to do with qualitative. All right, how and why, for example, why do a student come to take an MA program at IFL, for example? Okay, so these mainly to do with how and why, and quantitative is something to do with what, or something to do with how many, or something like that, and that is for quantitative, or what. But to a certain extent, sometimes one research question could be the same research question could take either qualitative or quantitative. It depends. For example, you really want to know about the student perception, student attitude toward online learning. Okay, so are you going to use a qualitative, or are you going to use quantitative when you want to know about the people's attitude? If you want to know about people's attitude, you want to know about the people's perception towards something, you can conduct either qualitative or quantitative. You can conduct quantitative by designing a questionnaire and using a attitudinal scale like Likert scale in order to find out what they think about it, and ask the people to rate to rate the attitude. For example, strongly agree, strongly disagree, or something like that, right? So that is one thing. So that is more quantitative because you're using quantitative data. If qualitative, then you use interview. All right, you will prepare a list of questions to ask your respondents, and you ask them what do you think about this and that, and then let them express the ideas. And this could be, I would say that it's qualitative. So I would say that it also depends, and it depends, but most of the time qualitative will go more with why and how, and quantitative will go with how many and how much of what or something like that. Okay, but there is no clear cut uh, answer, depending on the purpose of the study as well.